Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, we continue on my brother's car because I hope we can finish it this week. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. It is free to do. It's a click of a button. Hell, you don't even have to watch if you don't want to. I would appreciate it if you did, but I mean, it's a free country. Tell your friends or your family or whoever you think would enjoy this type of thing to send them my way, and, well, maybe we can go on these adventures together. I am going to continue on because I don't have really much choice with my brother's car. It is very close to being finished, and we are running into issues. I got to make a deck lid for it, which includes pins. Not a huge deal, probably a couple hours of work. We got to put the windows in it, but we also have to make window braces so that the thing doesn't cave in, front and rear. I have to make an access door here so that he can get in through this tiny little window, which is much smaller than normal cars, and we collectively are much larger people. The problems I'm facing now is this. I've got these rivets and they are garbage, which is really unfortunate. And I think the problem lies in the stem, because anytime we try to use them, the stem pops off them prematurely because they're just really kind of crappy aluminum. And it leaves us like this. You can see there's a gap and it is not fully gripping anything we put it in. See, look at that. So we have to essentially redo all of this, re-drill it all out for the rocker panels that we piecemealed together. I've got some rivets. I went and bought some, and he's got some coming too, but we have to redo all that. Plus, we're going to do this. I got these fender washers for 1/4 bolts. We're going to bolt the sides of the car on, because I've had a problem in the past where the rivets were not good enough to hold it from the wind at Thompson, no less. We're going to a 1-mile track. That's a 5/8. And the door came off and flipped up into my window. We're not having that happen. So we're going to rivet and bolt the rockers on. Then we're going to fog them black, let them dry. Those should be good to go. Okay, a couple bolts here, a little bit of paint makes everything straight. So I'm trying to let that dry as much as possible, even though it's not the greatest paint. So it's, oh well, you're not going to notice that side anyway. So I think next thing we got to do is move to the back, because I need to make little, supports for the sides, which is exactly what I did on my other car. Might as well. So we'll get that done. That's a quick job. We'll have to take and make some kind of a system where we can bolt it on and off, which might involve a nutsert, which isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it's also not terrible. And we'll put it over here, right angle it off the side, because I figured out that if you put it flush, I think it pulls out easier if you make contact with something. So if you make it flush and right angle the support, you could have a little bit more strength. So I'll get to cutting some aluminum, angle, making some strut rods out. Hopefully that'll be enough to hold the body. Got the bracing in. Just don't look at how I fastened it, because I'd be embarrassed. That side is done too. Bumper's a little pushed out, so it makes it a little more difficult for me to adjust the fender width with it, but that's okay because this side has been ripped off at least a few times. I'm going to now focus on something else. Now, the rule book is 1 page for this race, and I know a lot of people are probably like, good. Well, yeah, good and bad, because, well, that kind of opens up a few things that we probably can't afford, like engine and horsepower, and overall pretty much everything else. But what we are allowed to do is aerodynamic stuff, hence the body. We had a brick, which was an old Monte Carlo body, which I think all street stocks, if they have a G chassis, should be. However, a lot of people around the country and around here tend to believe that they should look like modern cars because fans don't recognize them, which is a complete line of crap. They should look like the chassis that they're built from because race cars are race cars. If you watch it go around a racetrack with a number on it, who cares? We have late models and other divisions to make them look like what you buy on Monday that wins on Sunday, okay? So that aside, we're allowed to do things that I don't like. And that means we can put a window in. Now, if you're going to do something like that, I strongly suggest making it removable from the inside in case the driver needs to get out. However, they don't mandate that, and my brother absolutely will not be able to get across this car because of the way that it's built. Because not only are the windows a little smaller than normal, there's a big bar right across it that stops this part of the cage from collapsing and keeping the car strong, which is, like I said, this is an older car. This is how they used to build things, and, well, it's in there. So if he needs to get out, he needs to get out the left side. We're going to make it so that he can. However, we're also going to block this off because everybody else is doing it, which means I have to flange this edge, put a little 45-degree flange off this edge, and then we'll just use the roof as its own kind of flange and slap a piece of old Lexan in there and hope for the best. Why am I giving away this secret? Well, it's not a secret. Literally everybody's going to be doing it. There's no sense in me hiding this because it's not really, it's everybody's doing it. I've watched a bunch of these guys last year. They were doing it. I saw them at their race at Thompson. They're doing it. Who the hell cares? So we're going to have to do that, and we're going to have to do the door on the left side. And hopefully I can get those both done before I have to go to league night tonight. Easy access panel. Done. I am going to bolster it up a little bit in the corners here. I might just self-tap or weld or whatever a little bar that goes to here with a little right angle so it holds this door out in case he has to sit on it and it crushes like this, because then it won't fit properly if he happens to do that. So I'm going to make sure we brace that up. It'll be all right. Maybe I'll put a little flat panel here just to make sure it's easier access into the car. As easy as we can get it for a window this small, it helps a lot. Trust me, it's a lot more comfortable and safer. So we'll get to work on that as well at some point. But you know what? I never made one of these, but shoot, that came out pretty good. I still don't really know how to fasten it, though. I was thinking, oh, why don't you put like a quarter turn Zeus fastener with like little thumb extensions on it? And I'm like, well, I don't have any. So I'm going to have to see what I can do. I was thinking just duct tape it and put the tab there. If he wants to get out, he can just rip it off and then push it down. I put little bolsters in because I did test sit on here, and when your body kind of pulls this, it kind of pulls it in, and I wanted it to maintain as much integrity of the body as possible, and that, you know what, that's pretty good. I'm gonna flap shut, fasten it, there we go. That'll That ain't going nowhere. Made a little bit of progress today, but unfortunately it is league night and I have to go do that because now we're keeping points. So, you know, it went real well the first time because I got wrecked like 3 times and finished 9th, but we'll see what happens tonight. So we got more stuff to do tomorrow. I'm not sure where we're going to get, but we're going to keep just hammering forward because this thing needs to get done. I got word that there are parts in for it. I do have another piece of aluminum that I can put a deck lid on, but I don't have any paint, which kind of stinks. Ran fresh out of that, so we'll have to figure that out as well. And then, like I said, just keep moving forward. We got a lot of stuff left to do, and some of it necessary, like belts and window nets and stuff. So we'll get there when we get there, but I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, next day, got a pile of parts here, and we're going to just continue on marching forward, see if we can get stuff done. Got the all-important alternator that I think died. We're going to try to slap that thing on. We need to change the oil, do mechanical stuff there. I got to make a trunk lid. I've got help on the way. Hopefully we can tackle at least those things today, and if we get further ahead, then we get further ahead. And we're going to just start and just mark things off the list. Okay, we're under here clearly, and what's funny is I did this horrific job with the silicone sealant, and it didn't leak a drop. I'm shocked by that. All right, well, my problem is I can't read the timing on this balancer. So I got some emery paper, and I'm just gonna go through and, okay, we got 0 here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing 10, 20, 30. Here's one cut in it there that says, I don't even know what it says. 38, I think. Nope, 35. All right, so, I mean, I thought we were a little more aggressive than that with these things, but I'm pretty sure the engine builder put that in there because it looks hand stamped. So I think I'm just going to make a mark there and say that's probably good enough, right? And we'll time it to that line. Hopefully it doesn't go anywhere further than that, and we should be good to go from there. What I typically do is I mark 0 with a paint marker. So we're going to do that by going, all right, there's 0. Oh, I guess this paint marker doesn't really work. So for a little extra help, instead of running stock shocks, since we're at a bigger track, I gave them these much bigger shocks. We're gonna mount these up. Now, how I do these on a stock frame car, might as well tell you guys, because who cares, is we use these. Typical weld-on whatever, because we don't have a mount up here, and I don't really know any other way. And what I do is, we kind of take and we have to bolt it to the lower somehow, right? So we're going to drill a hole somewhere. So what I do is, I basically get the bottom of the shock a little above where the lower part of that frame rail is there. Because in case this thing bottoms out, it won't completely mash the shock. Just in case. I mean, hey, I've been up and over people before, so you never know. So I figure we'll put it to the bottom lip of here because you'll still get full stroke and it won't bottom out. But at the same time, you'll get a lot of droop as well. And that's probably as far as it really needs to go. You're not going to get a hell of a lot of travel. You got a 7-inch shock, and there's going to be about 3 inches of travel in here somewhere. So I'm just going to find a nice place, mark it, clean it off, take this thing, stick it to it somewhere, and just weld it on and kind of hope for the best. I mean, I do know that there's a lot more involved in doing this type of thing with shocks and mounting things, and like, you got to take into account angles and if the shock works at a better angle or a sharper angle or less angle or whatever the case is, and all these other things that goes into it. But what I really look at is, does the brake caliper, rotor, or the wheel impact the shock at whatever angle you're turning at? Because I don't want to limit how much the car can turn either. So I usually just kind of get it to a place where it works appropriately. I can't really play a lot of games because I don't want to take a lot of the steering angle away from them because, well, we do need the car to be able to maneuver. So that being said, I just don't want it to take a lot more than what we're actually going to give it by trying to be trick and stuff. So breaking out the welder, and we'll get this done. Hopefully he'll be happy with it. So if you guys have a problem like my brother's car where he has to run stock hubs because he's broke, I live that, and your lug studs are a little loose and they just kind of keep falling out because the knurled edges on them are just not as good or used up as they should be, well, I got a solution for you. There's different ways that you can fix this. You could take a hammer and a punch and just kind of knurl it, which doesn't really work. Or you could do this. Grab your welder, which is running in the background. Take it and just kind of do small little tacks to it, right? Just kind of like that. Very small, like that. Do like 4 of them. Then take them over to your bench grinder or whatever and knock the ends off of them. You see how they're kind of like a mound? Try to flatten them out to get a lot closer to the shape of the knurled end, right? You're just trying to make it a little bit wider than those knurls. So what you're going to end up with is something like this, where it's a little bit above the lip, right? Then what you do is you take it and you put it back in. All right, I'm going to grab an old lug nut, jam it on there like that. Grab this old gun. And just force it on. Pretty good. Okay. I don't think that's going anywhere anymore. And since an adult said that's not going anywhere, now that's not going anywhere. See? You probably can't, but it's on there and it's not falling out. There's your tech tip for the day. I'm going to get back to mounting shocks and fender braces. Got a little bit of fender support here. It's better than nothing, trust me. Got the shocks in, and to be honest with you, I moved the tires. They don't hit, nothing. So those are in. Just some basic non-adjustable, oil-filled shocks. I figured that would be a lot better than what was in there because they're bigger. That always makes it better, right? So we got that on, this on, and even added a little bit of ride height change over here because I figured I'd need it because we've been playing with those, and maybe I'd get myself a little further ahead if I did that. So wheels got to go back on, and geez, we are really knocking the list down. Shoot, my help ain't even here yet, and if he brings a case of beer, we might even finish this dang thing tonight. Probably not. But at least we can get really, really close. I mean, any day we spend getting closer to this thing being finished is a day I can spend on my Stafford car that's in the box right now. That thing needs to get wrapped. I have to call those guys. I'll probably do it tomorrow. But I might just sit back and take a little break and wait for my help to arrive. Yeah. So my help arrived, which is my brother, clearly. And we got the oil changed from the break-in oil to the regular stuff. I know it's dark, but if I'd shut my door, it wouldn't be. But we're going to try to run it again when he gets back because, well, the engine sounds terrible. And I don't know what's going on, but when we went to adjust valves, I'll just tell you this now. When I went to adjust the valves the first time, we kept priming the motor, making sure it had oil pressure and oil was coming up through the lifters and they weren't pushing back down. And okay, that's cool. You know, rotating the motor over by hand and priming it and rotating it and priming it, rotating it and priming it at the same time. So I adjusted the valves the first time and there were a bunch of them where I did not feel preload. And I was going off of essentially intuition, just tightening it down as soon as I primed it up until the push rod stopped moving and then giving it a quarter turn, even if I didn't feel preload. So it's like, well, no matter how much I pumped oil through the engine, and it was coming up out of the rockers, it just didn't feel like it was preloading. So we ran the motor, broke in the cam. Hopefully it didn't hurt anything because I didn't see anything in the oil or anything. It still makes 60 pounds of oil pressure at idle. It just sounds bad, and it sounds like either fouled plugs or it was reverting gases or compression back up through the intake. And it was searching for idle. It just didn't sound good at all. So we're going to do both. I went through and I redid all of the valve adjustment after running the car. And I even pulled all the we pulled all the spark plugs out, checked them, and they looked terrible. Like I'd said, they looked kind of fouled. Some of them were still wet. So we're like, okay, why don't we just change all the spark plugs and adjust all the valves and see what happens. So this time when I adjusted all the valves, every single one of them, all 16, gave me preload. So that's fingers crossed if you couldn't see it because it's so dark in here. But waiting on him. Hopefully he finds some. I don't know if there's even any spark plugs locally. So I gave him a couple part numbers to search for. He's diving around AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly's, whatever's open. So we'll see what happens when he gets back. All right, we got the carb spacer changed while Jess was gone. We took all the spark plugs and put them through the wire brush wheel because we didn't have any other choice. No part stores had anything. So we put all the plug wires back on. I readjusted all the valves. Let's see what it does. I don't even know. So let's hope for the best. I know it's in neutral. Okay then. Give it the ether.
cameraman never dies.
Well, I don't know if it's fixed, but, well, it's definitely not fixed. I don't know if it's any better, though, after adjusting all the valves and doing the spark plugs and stuff. I mean, they are the same spark plugs, and we did just kind of run them through a wire brush, and I don't think that really did a hell of a lot. And I do think that the carb gasket's kind of junk, so either way, I guess I'll attack something tomorrow and see if I got any extra gaskets hanging around. Maybe we can replace it, try again. Who knows? But it still makes great oil pressure, and charges now, but it just doesn't run very well. But we are making progress, and hopefully we can get this fixed, and at least I got the whole day off tomorrow, and I'll see you then. Early o'clock next day, I grabbed a couple gaskets out of the trailer, and I got a few in the toolbox, so we're gonna go through this thing. I was thinking about pulling a port on the intake and seeing if my smoke machine will tell us anything. I don't think it will, though, but it might be worth a try at least. It's only one pipe plug, and I don't think it goes into the water jacket, so maybe we'll try that. I don't know yet, but there's definitely something vacuum related wrong with this car, and I gotta find it because we can't have this thing overheating, leaning out, running like crap at a 1 mile racetrack where being in the throttle is gonna be a very usual occurrence, I guess you can say. So I'm gonna pull this air cleaner off. We're gonna start diagnosing and seeing what we can find. So I put a wrench on this pipe plug expecting it to be tighter than the gates of hell, and nope, that thing's finger tight. Huh, that's interesting. Well then, now the search widens. Well, I guess now we wait and see if something happens. Kinda doubt it, but we'll see. I forgot that there's 2 holes drilled in the butterflies for these to regulate the, to regulate the idle, because these cars pull a lot of vacuum. I think we'll be duct taping over the choke horn and trying again. Well, the tape didn't do a heck of a lot, but we are getting results elsewhere. Seeing some come out of this right side here, but nothing out the gaskets like I'd expected, so might have to play a few games here to start looking around for other options, because I see stuff here, but it might be the throttle rod, but that, those don't seal perfectly because, I don't know, they move. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to figure it out. So I'll just keep plugging away, I guess. Well, as the remnants of Cheech and Chong tend to dissipate, we are going to just, I guess just replace the gaskets and seal up the pipe plug and make sure that's tight, because I don't really have anything else here because I didn't find anything else. And the only smoke I saw coming out of it was out the top, which I tried to duct tape over. Clearly that didn't work. And out the throttle rod, which, again, they move, so there's probably going to be some inherent leaks. And this carburetor was rebuilt so frequently, it probably has 2 races on it. So I'm just going to goop the pipe plug, redo the gaskets, and maybe try it again. Okay, I've got my tester, I guess. I got some far less questionable gaskets in there now. It's now reasonably tight. Power is on. Well, fingers crossed again. I'm not convinced. This thing should just bark to life. It's not. There's something wrong. Something is definitely wrong. It should just at least bark to life. And I don't know what it could be. Let's just keep going, I guess. Seems a little better than yesterday. Kinda. For some reason it was in gear. So now it's even better than that. Honestly, that's not bad. It's better than it was. Ah, my eyes are burning. I think we're good here. I've begun the reassembly phase. I don't know if we're going to get any better results out of trying to find a vacuum leak, because I did spray the base under the carburetor, the base under the carb spacer, the intake gaskets on the, cylinder head side, and that didn't rev up like it did last night. So I think we got the vacuum leak, hopefully, fingers crossed, and I can't find any other vacuum leaks in it. It seems to refire, because I just started it back up while it was warmed up and see if it would do it. No problem, fired right up. It just does not like starting up cold for some reason. Timing seems to be right on the pointer. I think it would really do for some fresh spark plugs, so we're going to change those before we go racing. But, I mean, you can't really argue with 60 pounds of oil pressure, and it actually runs. And I stood at the back while my eyes burned to death, and I don't know, it sounded really good. It sounded very snotty and racy, so I left the idle at about 1,000 RPMs, and I think we're going to send it. So now we just got to clean up a bunch of stuff. I think I'm going to wipe the car down, clean some tools off, and get to work on the next item, which I don't even know what to do next. We got to do windows, we got to do the belts, we got to do... Shoot, that might be about it. Let me just find the cardboard list that we made. Wow. We're actually down pretty far. I don't think windows are on here, but all that's left I can see is belts, wheels and tires. Yeah, we got to spoon some used ones on there so that we can at least get the same tire to go practice on. Scale, radio check. So windows and belts, I guess. So I forgot I had to build a deck lid, and I got it cut out here. What I'm going to do is, it's kind of, I forget what the hell shape this is. My fifth grader, he would tell me, because this is basic knowledge, and, he's smarter than me. But I'm going to roll these edges over, like all the way over, leaving like a 1/2 inch lip and then rolling it, because my bender over there, the little one, I think that one will go 120 degrees and it'll go over enough that I can take a rubber hammer and just kind of knock it down. So it gives it a little bit of strength. I'm going to do it on this edge, that edge, and that edge. And then on this one, we're going to put a hinge, like a piano hinge. And hopefully it works enough that we don't have to worry too much about it. But yeah, nice just piece of scrap aluminum that I had hanging around. I figured that would be good enough. And if we get her at least a little bit rolled over, it should be strong. I have a bead roller. I was thinking about putting some stuff in it just to strengthen it up, but we'll see what happens when I get her all bent up. Not particularly happy with the hinge situation. I didn't have enough, so I just put it right in the middle. And I know that it's probably going to do this when going down the straightaway. Even though it's going to be pinned here, it's probably going to lift here. I might see if we could run to Home Depot, grab some more piano hinge. I'm just looking at my pop rivets, make sure they're set. They're a little tall, it's okay. But I was thinking about getting one, just kind of cutting it and putting it on the edges just to make sure it doesn't go nowhere. But a piece of duct tape also works. Who knows? So we'll figure it out. I got to put the pins in here too. I got to make some. Just stick them in. We'll do it exactly like we did with the front. We'll go over here to my old bolt pile and we'll grab a couple of these, cut the heads off of them, drill a hole after we round them off in the machine, weld a washer here with a nut, and get the height right, and then probably just weld it up. Or I don't know, I don't have much hardware for 3/8 bolts, so I don't want to run out, but we'll get it done. I got a little bit of welding gas left, which I forgot I was probably gonna go get some today, but we're in the magic range. By the way, I do shut them off, it's just they are sealed up, so might need to leave. Okay, now that we've got a trunk lid on, even if it's not painted, at least it's on and we can move forward just in case it doesn't get painted. We're really moving down the list now. Now, I'm looking over the car and I'm thinking to myself, we're down to glass. And remember when I said glass was probably going to be last? It is. I'm going to get this off the roof. They are disgusting, so I'm going to try some plastics and a polisher and see if it comes out a little bit. If it's able to be even seen out of, that would be fine at this point. So I'm going to throw it on the old ironing board with a rubber mat on it. Grab my old 20, 30-year-old Craftsman polisher that I stuck a $1 pad from an antique store that I found on it, and go to town with some plastics and see what happens. Well, front windshield cleaned up a lot. Somebody left duct tape on it, and there's a bunch of residue all over it. We're gonna have to try to tackle that later. Rear window, honestly not bad. I cleaned it up. I didn't even polish it. Seems pretty clear to me. What we do need to make, though, which I forgot, was we have to make the rear window straps that keep it from caving in. Now, this car has provisions for 4 of them across the back, and I believe it has 3 across the front, which, yes, it does. Do I make all of them and say that's what it takes, or do I do 3 up front because, well, that's going to face the most wind, especially at New Hampshire, which is a big track for a street stock, golly. And do I just do 2 in the back because it'll hold it out from the center up? That depends on how much material I have. Now, I've got these 2 strips of aluminum angle, which are a little thick, but you know what? They'll be fine. We're gonna cut those and at least do the front first. If we do the front, we can have them set up here. I wish I could bend them in some way. I'm gonna look into it, see if I can actually get them to kind of fit the window a little bit better. I don't want just a straight line because then it'll just cave in and kind of concave it a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Once I get the front done, we'll see how much material we have left to do the rear with. And if we have enough, I'll do as many as I can. Become a table just like everything else, and my garage is utterly destroyed from all the work. But I think, you know, I could sum this up best by saying, if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, I talk about projects all the time and say, you know, you never really know the end's in sight until it's on you. And boy, I'll tell you what, this thing is pretty much done. I know it's on jack stands. It looks like there's nothing done, but this car is just really coming along fast now. I wish, you know, the hood wasn't out in the rain, but we can't have everything. So we look from the front to the back. The body's on. Everything's in. I got the engine running again. It just needs a quickie tune-up. Windshield's in. All the electrics are done. I have one thing to do, bleed brakes and do setup. Moving back here, the window net is up to date. We got the door in for comfort. Let me tell you something. I'm not a huge person. Well, I am pretty big. That helps a lot. The seat has been vacuumed. I even vacuumed the interior. I put a couple grip strips down because it's a little difficult to get through this window. I got the brand new belts in that are good to 2027. We've gone through the entire driveline. We've gone through the electrical system. We've gone through the body. I still have to blow that little bit out there, even though I've already vacuumed it. Rear window's in. Rear quarters moved. Rear end's in. Luckily, we didn't have to change that, hopefully. Spoilers on. Deck lid's on. This thing is really near completion. If I could take a moment and clean this car off and get it on the ground and roll it outside, you would see how close it really is. I mean, this thing is genuinely close. For setup, we're going to have to do that, but, you know, we're there now. We're literally there. I mean, maybe I'll put the window in over here, like I'd mentioned. I might do some body bracing. I think I got to cover up a hole right here, but we really are not far off. And we have the tools and equipment to do the setup, but I think I might take the rest of the night and clean the shop up because I need room to work. I got to put everything away where it belongs. And I've made a lot of progress today. I mean, we started out a little slow by trying to get the carburetor to not have vacuum leaks, I guess. I don't know. I think we accomplished that. It does run okay. And then we ended up with, golly, the dang thing is done. Well, for the most part. Either way, we'll see what happens because I got another couple days to work on it, but we will see you again tomorrow. All right, back in the shop. It's a lovely day in New England. It's actually sunny and warm. Weird. I'm going to finish up the rest of the body work. I think we still got a window to throw in it. And honestly, look around at the list. That's all I can really do. Bleed brakes. Okay, I can do that. I just tried to spoon a tire that we're going to be using onto an old rim because, well, we're probably going to need practice tires because I think we can only really afford the 4 that we're supposed to buy, and we're going to use those in the race. And I have some old Thompson tires, which are the same tires we're going to be using up there. And they're meant for a 7-inch wheel. And we have 8-inch wheels. And I just did this one. And let me tell you something. I'm really glad I bought a Chinese bead blaster because, well, at least it works. And it was the only way I was ever going to get these tires on these wheels. And it was an absolute godsend. So we're going to be bringing all of our tire stuff with us because I don't think they do it. So I just want this thing as close to setting up tonight as possible because we need to get as far ahead as we can because I have to get my Stafford car done. That thing's about 90%, and I don't want to be sitting there nutting and bolting it, you know, the Friday night before we leave for the, what the hell is it? The Sizzler. That's right. I'm so used to Thompson. Anyway, let's get back to work. We got a long way to go and a lot of fab still left, but the list grows shorter. So you'll notice it's not in the garage because I've done pretty much all I can do for the body. We have a couple other little minor things that we have to take care of, but I was gonna do a giant reveal like, well, the old car, but might as well just show you how it looks on my unlevel yard with springs that are too tall in the rear and we haven't adjusted it yet. Not bad for an old used body and an old used car. She came out quite well. I'm very pleased. Like I said, I'm still thinking I'm gonna tuck that quarter there somehow. I'm not sure how. I was just gonna slit and notch it, just like cut it and like bring it in and just rivet a piece behind it just so it looked right. I don't really know if I want to do that or not because, well, I think something got goofed up when we were trying to form it. So we got this big bulge here, which I admit doesn't look great, but I mean, we can fix it if you're not interested in looks up close. Far away, it'll look good. But this is it. And you know what's really funny is like the last 2 cars that I've put together, well, they're family cars, and I just put brand new bodies on them, brand new to us. And I like this one more, actually. That one looks good. This one looks better. But again, we got to fix the rear because it's too tall. And this window that I put in here, off camera, makes it really difficult to get into the car. You can't really swing a leg as easy. But yeah, well, we'll figure that out too. So all she really needs is a good wipe down, some numbers, and a setup, which I cannot wait to get the rear height out of this car. There's a couple corners I got to trim. Like, it's close there, and it's okay. But then on right here, it's just, if I can cut it to like there, which is funny because I wouldn't need this extra panel if I'd actually cut it to where I wanted it. Oh well, what are you going to do? But here it is. The used body on the used car, and well, it looks 10 times better than it used to. And you know what's even better about these 2 cars? The last time I tried to get either one of them running, they just did not want to start, did not want to run, nothing, they just ran like terribly. Today I came and fired up the old car, the red one, started right up, idled, no problem. Then I fired up this one to bring it outside, started right up, no problem. I'm like, what gives? I'm not gonna complain. All right, I gotta go blow the garage out, clean it up a little bit, pull this back in and start the setup. It's the next day. My brother came by and we got a little bit involved with spooning tires onto wheels, which these are the correct compound tires, which we wanted to set the car up with. These, like I said before in the video, for this race, they used to use the Hoosier 800s, but for some reason this year they can't get it. So they did say, however, that they can get the 790s, which is what they run on at Thompson, but they run them on a 7-inch wheel. These are 8-inch wheels. A little hard to get on. And I really, really wish I was filming when I tried to put a tire on the bead, because I've got a Chinese bead blaster somewhere that is a real cheap thing, but it works. But apparently I did it on the ground, and I missed. And proceeded to fire about, I don't know, a metric ton of dirt into I created a crater. I'm not even kidding. You know what? I'm going to show you it. So like right outside my shop, you can see the dirt just everywhere. You know what? It was all in here. You can see it's in the scooter. It was all over the front of the car. I even had dirt clods. Like you can see, there's one there. There's a couple here. It fired dirt, and I'm not joking, everywhere. It was all over the trunk. It fired. I was covered in dirt. And it's always during like the dumbest things where you're like, I don't need to film this because it's just us doing tedious labor of spooning and, putting tires onto wheels. And then all of a sudden that happens. So it's like, dang it, I missed the fun stuff. So today what we're going to do is we're going to slap those tires on the car in the spots that we want them. I'm going to start changing spark plugs just because a tune-up really wouldn't hurt. I don't know how old these plugs are. And get the car at least as close to race ready as possible. He's coming by. We're going to throw the thing on scales and at least start the setup process, because in the next video, we're going to be going, hopefully, to the track with this. It's springtime in New England. I don't know what the weather is going to be like. I pray that it doesn't rain and I don't have to come back, because I got to get the Stafford car in here and actually, get to work on it. But I'm also working on trying to get it wrapped too next week. So hopefully we can get some progress on that. Luckily, I did everything I could to get it ready ahead of time, so I wouldn't really have to thrash on that to get it ready. It's pretty much set except for putting it on scales. So, all right, I got to get to work on throwing this thing together, and when he gets here, we'll get to real work. We put it on blocks just to see what the ride heights looked like, and they were real not good. So there's a reason why we do this stuff early, and a week early, that's a good amount of time to get a car scaled. So we are still in the midst of trying to get the ride heights fixed. Scale batteries are dead, so my brother went off to get some more. We picked up, the front end is, the whole left side was way too low. Like, I think minimum height, it was about, 5/8 of an inch under minimum height. So I'm like, yeah, we can't have that. So I cranked the heck out of the adjusters in the left side, and we'll see what happens. But I want to get when I do this, I usually try to get the ride heights at least close to what I'm looking for. And you usually learn that over time. And once I get them at least close, if we're way off on weight, then at least, it'll surprise me. But at least getting the ride heights close is a good indicator of how close you'll be on the scale. So right now we're sitting at, we're just kind of sitting, I guess. Like when it comes to setting up race cars, I wish I was an expert. I really do. But I know very basic stuff, and I guess I can throw it at it and really kind of hope for the best sometimes. I'm still learning. I've been in this game 20-something years, and even now I still learn things because, you know, you kind of get caught in ruts sometimes and you just don't move forward. And then somebody comes along who teaches you something and you try it and it works. And it's like, holy cow, somebody actually helped me. So, you know, learning is a very difficult process in racing, and you got to try things in order to learn things. And that's, you know, been my mantra my whole career. So what we're going to do is just kind of try something that I was taught. Actually, something I tried a while ago and then I couldn't replicate, but then I was taught how to do it. And then, you know, we've been trying it lately. And, well, we're going to hope for the best again. But when you're setting cars up, like I said, trial and error, practice is everything. And you pick up little tiny things that are subtle nuances along the way. Like, you know, what do I do to this corner if I adjust the ride height? What happens to the rest of the car? What if I change it here and here alone? What happens to the rest of the car? It's worth it to make small adjustments and not big swings all at once. Otherwise, you're kind of chasing your tail. Like, if we're really low on this side and I know that the rear is kind of okay, I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to touch one, see what happens, touch another one, see what happens. It's a longer process, but it kind of makes it better in the end because you're not chasing your tail. You're just eating away at it. All right, so we had this thing on scales for a preliminary scaling. Got the heights a little bit better, but I'm not really that happy with it. I got to devise a plan to fix that too, which I think we might have. But the scales told us, hey, you're about 81 pounds light of the minimum. So it's convenient. Convenient, yes, because that's the car number. And that's going to be my number at Stafford, funnily enough. But so now we had to devise a plan to get the weight in the car and what to use and what we can basically execute. So
trust the plan, Arthur.
At least we got that in place. So it's going to be a thrash still. I mean, setting cars up is a process, and especially when you have to mount lead, that's really going to suck. But I think that's going to have to do it for this week because I have to get a video out. Hopefully next video, fingers crossed at this point, because I don't know what a week out with the weather looks like, but we'll see, because it's New England and, well, stuff changes quickly. Hopefully next video we'll be racing it, or at least practicing it. But in some way it'll be at a racetrack somewhere doing something, so we'll figure it out. But anyway, thank you all again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so, and tell your friends or family or people who might be interested in this sort of thing to help me grow the channel. It's free to do, and you just click a button and, you know, heck, you don't even have to watch it, but that would help a lot. Sure would. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and until next time.